Humble salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Divine Mother. Hearty greetings to my dearest brothers and sisters. I feel constrained to remember an incident long back in 1969 or so, during one visit of Divine Mother to Mumbai Mandali at the time of the sacred Navaratri Mahotsava. On the Vijayadashami day, after the evening bhajans and pravachan, devotees lined up in front of Sri Tara Devi to offer her traditional Shami Vraksha cassia tree leaf and seek her blessings by touching her holy feet, as is the custom. Everyone give her a leaf and say, "Please take gold, sona ghya," as was the name of the leaf, and touch her feet to offer pranams. She would gladly and gracefully accept the leaf and return the same to the giver, irrespective of the age of the person, return the same to the giver and touch the feet of the giver in return, irrespective of the age of the person. This was immensely astounding. She did repeatedly request everyone not to do namaskara to her. No one paid any heed to her humble request and continued to fall at her feet, as no one wanted to miss the God given opportunity. Me too was in the line of the devotees. When my turn came to offer leaf named gold, she looked deep into my eyes and asked, "To you too I must bow down?" I got the message and stood standing and offered pranams with folded hands. We could observe how alert and attentive Mother was in spite of her physical ailments and sufferings. For example, when Sri Tara Devi repeated the mantra as Sharanam Sharanam Ramambike, Sharanam Sharanam Trayambake, Mother immediately corrected not Sharanam Sharanam but Charanam Sharanam. Again, regarding the end portion of the mantra, when Sri Tara Devi repeated it as Trayambike, Mother at once corrected her, not Trayambike but Trayambake. Again, when Sri Tara Devi sought a clarification whether Charanam Sharanam Trayambake has to come first, Mother replied, "No, the first line is Charanam Sharanam Ramambike, which is to be followed by the second line Charanam Sharanam Trayambake." We can infer from this itself as to how intensely aware and conscious Mother was about herself and her surroundings, and how alert her mind was even in detecting the subtle errors. When she imparted this mantra to Sri Tara Devi, she did it from consciousness of her supreme divinity and overlordship, and out of infinite compassion for the whole world. This mantra indeed was her last priceless boon to the world. After the evening arati on that day, Wednesday, the 1st November 1978, the congregation was asked to chant the new mantra, and the whole hall reverberated with musical vibrations. Reinforced with the divine sankalpa, and as the mantra gifted by Supreme Shakti herself, the vibrations of mantra spiritually electrified the prayer hall and the premises of Shaktinagar, and instilled in the minds ridden with the anxiety a kind of calm strength of spirit. The mantra, when sung melodiously with the central deity, the all-merciful and omnipotent Divine Mother, it has the effect of an invocatory Vedic mantra. It offers infinite praise to the Supreme, lodged in our own hearts. It is a mystic formula. It is also an evocative incantation. An extraordinary spiritual glow was seen manifested in the shrine that evening. That night, the whole atmosphere in the campus was vibrant with the tremendous force. A silent, all-enveloping presence seemed to have taken hold of all individual minds. The new mantra came as though a mighty current of spiritual force that was suddenly released by Divine Mother, and whosoever chanted it came under its elevating influence. Probably, Mother, from her own mystic realm beyond the reach of human intelligence, must have taken control of the minds of all inmates and applied strengthening and comforting touch upon everyone. There are many things in the spiritual realm which are not open to reason, which are only revealed to faith and self-surrender, which cannot become objects of analysis but can be intimately felt and experienced. It is the injunction of the scriptures that mantra should be formally imparted by Sadguru if it is to become the awakener, if it is to become a vehicle of enormous spiritual power. Being the universal mother, she perhaps wanted to give a mantra which is acceptable to all and which also be the Guru mantra for the purpose of initiation in future. That was how she imparted the new mantra to Sri Tara Devi for the benefit of the whole humanity. Many a times earlier, even when mother was in Ahmednagar in the home of Sri Tara Devi, insisted that Sri Tara Devi should give initiation to the aspiring devotees in future. Humble salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Divine Mother. Hearty greetings to my dearest brothers and sisters. Charanam Sharanam Ramambike, Charanam Sharanam Trayambake. At the most auspicious muhurtam of bestowing this Mahamantra to Sri Tara Devi, Divine Mother said, "This mantra is for the whole mankind. It is the vehicle of redemptive grace. It will bring good to the whole world." She then formally imparted the sacred mantra to Sri Tara Devi with all seriousness and esoteric air associated with the ceremony of Upadesha Diksha. The ceremony of Upadesha Diksha is a soul-to-soul communication between the Guru and the disciple. It is transmission of spiritual power. It is performed in privacy. Even in the case of Brahmopadesha, though it is the father who whispers the sacred Gayatri mantra to the son, the communication is in strict privacy. Every time mother makes this suggestion, Tara Devi remained firm in her resolve that Divine Mother alone is the Paramaguru and no one else can take up that position. When Divine Mother said that there must be a Guru Parampara in accordance with the tradition of the Indian culture, Tara Devi further added that there is no successor to Sri Rama and no successor to Sri Krishna. Therefore, no Guru Parampara for God. Divine Mother is God, so no traditional parampara for God. Divine Mother is our only one Guru, and there cannot be another Guru for the children of Divine Mother. This firm contention did gladden the heart of Divine Mother, and she exclaimed, "Shabas!" Humble disposition of Sri Tara Devi is immensely appreciated by Divine Mother. She indeed is a personification of humility. Coming back to mantra, emanating directly from Divine Mother, who is also the deity of mantra, representing as it does the universal concept of divinity, having reference to both the personal God and the attributeless absolute, easy of utterance, musical in its style of rendering, the new Mahamantra is of charming appeal to everyone. The deity of this mantra, addressed as Ramambika and Trayambaka, is Parashakti, the Supreme, looked upon as one's own loving mother. The motherhood of God, when invoked through prayer, at once brings about a bhava of loving devotion and childlike dependence upon the The deity of this mantra, addressed as Ramambika and Trayambaka is Parashakti, the Supreme looked upon as one's own loving mother. The motherhood of God, when invoked through prayer, at once brings about a bhava of loving devotion and a childlike dependence upon the Supreme in the mind of the Upasaka. Devi, the mother divine, is both Shiva and Shakti, the immanent power as well as the transcendental consciousness. She is Brahman itself. She abides in the heart of all as the undivided self, the Atman. The mantropasana, the devout and persistent practice of the divine name, is in fact an invocation of one's own divine nature, sattvic qualities and dormant powers. So long as man is deluded by the notions of I and mine, so long as his mind is in a whirlpool of thoughts, cravings and passions, he cannot be conscious of his own divinity with the Antaratman or Divine Mother. The mind must become pure, calm, free of cravings and absorbed in the pursuit of God. This is the purpose of repetition of the mantra. On the material and mental planes of existence, man should be able to remain linked to the Supreme. It is estrangement from God that has hurled man into the abyss of sorrow and darkness called samsara. To establish one's harmony within and to be at peace with one's own surroundings, man must discover his inner link with God. The mantra helps man to establish the link with God. When the Upasaka, the votary of mantra, through regular practice of mantra opens himself to Guru's grace, then the knowledge dawns on him. He knows his own mistakes. He gains an insight into the nature of his own mental functions and mental modes. He knows the nature of the gunas. He perceives the unreal as unreal. The delusive identification with the unreal disappears and he wakes up to the consciousness of his relation to the Supreme Being. Along with the practice of spiritual sadhana, there should be ethical purity in conduct. The sadhaka should mold his life in the light of Guru's teachings. Then alone the mantra leads to fulfillment. The power inherent in mantra is the power by which the upasaka overcomes the impulse of cravings and the lure of the sense world, remains detached from the passions that arise in his mind and performs his duties without getting entangled in the web of karma. Powers of the mantra are tremendous. Even in trivial matters too, faith in mother and her mantra comes to help instantaneously. That is really amazing. Once a mother and her son, both of very hefty stature, were coming to Shaktinagar by an auto rickshaw. There was not a speck of space left. Even then, when the woman saw her friend waiting at a bus stop on the way, obviously to come to Shaktinagar, invited her to join them on the rickshaw. Waiting friend, who too was equally of heavy build, was very reluctant. But then the prospect of quickly reaching Shaktinagar was very tempting. All the three somehow adjusted in themselves in the available space. When the auto reached the steep rise nearing Shaktinagar, all of them felt that the driver will ask them to get down and walk to the top of the curve. The devotee then with the loud voice said, "Deva, please take us to the top." Without even changing the gears, the auto sailed over the top steep. That was really amazing. Driver was wonderstruck and asked, "Amma, which God did you call to help?" The power of mantra comes into operation only if there is perfect faith on the part of the upasaka. There is nothing impossible of attainment through the favor of the mantra. There was an interesting episode narrated by some devotee in our Smarananjali some time back. During a visit of Sri Tara Devi to south, there was a family regularly going to the place of satsanga organized in honor of visit of Sri Tara Devi. They always go by the same auto of their favorite acquaintance. One day, the auto driver asked, "Amma, you are going to this place regularly since so many days, what is special there?" He was told about the divine and charming personality of Sri Tara Devi. He asked if he too can see her. When asked why he wants to see Tara Devi, he said, "I wish to seek her help to solve my domestic problems." He was told he too can come for the satsang with them to the prayer hall and chant the mantra with everybody. Also, the devotee told the automan to make all the members of his family to join this Nama Japa from 7 to 7:30 p.m. every day, and soon his problems will be solved. He did exactly what he was told, and soon he built a new house, bought a new rickshaw. His friends asked him, "How could you do all this?" He then told them about the mantra, and they too followed his example and flourished. This is exactly what Mother meant by saying this mantra is for the whole world. So many auto rickshaws crisscross this talk. The mantra is the protective talisman, the real Raksha Bandhan, the inner shield of the sadhaka, the boon bestower, the mediator between the man and God. It unites Jivatman and Paramatman. As regards the power and efficacy of the divine mantra, let us recall to our minds the authentic teachings of Divine Mother. Mother says, mantra or divine name is Nada. The original sound is Pranava, the Omkara, the mystic sound body of God. Every mantra represents primordial Pranava, which is the first manifestation of God. Hence, rightly it is said, name is God itself. To hold on to God means to hold fast to the name or the mantra. To get the knowledge of God and the protection of God, the sadhaka should hold fast to the mantra and practice the mantra with faith and devotion. One should become fond of the mantra and should be in such a state that he cannot live without the name of God. Such love, liking and fondness for the name is called abhiruchi. It is abhiruchi for the name that gives the foretaste of the bliss of God and ultimately links the mind with God. When the mantra is chanted, the sound is activated. The activated sound becomes vibrations, and these vibrations spread over and penetrate the whole body of the sadhakas. Eventually, the continued practice of mantra with absorbing devotion, while vibrations possesses every limb, flesh, blood, bone, marrow and brain. The whole being should vibrate with the mantra. Every pore of your being should come under the grip of mantra radiations. Mother says, fill yourself with the vibrations of the mantra so that the mind will not find a single outlet towards the world of sense objects. When the power and radiations of the name interpenetrates your body and mind, when you are drawn to God through devotion, bhava and childlike dependence, you will get the vision of light within and without. Gradually, light expands into the ocean of homogeneous mass of divine effulgence. The vision of light then develops into the experience of boundless consciousness, God within and God without. the one supreme self pervading all extra existences is realized. This is from the bulletin number 147. Once Sri Rama had to explain to Hanuman the means of identifying Sita Mata in Lanka. Rama told Hanuman that whole atmosphere around Sita and even the trees, plants and stones do repeat the mantra. She is perpetually chanting Ram, Ram, Ram. Why go to Treta Yuga? There is an interesting episode in the lives of saints of Maharashtra. One jealous neighbor stole the cow dung cakes made by Saint Janabai. When the issue came up for arguments before the elders, it was found that the cakes, cow dung cakes made by Janabai, when held close to the ears, found repeating the name Vitala, Vitala, Vitala. No more proof was required. Evidently, this Nama sadhana is not a lower sadhana, not even a preparatory discipline, but the self-sufficing means to realization of the Supreme. Saguna and Nirguna meet in our beloved Divine Mother. It is she who has imparted us the divine mantra, hence it carries tremendous awakening power, blessing and benediction. Let us fix our minds on her in deep spiritual ardor and chant the mantra with devotion and Shraddha. Therein is the secret of strength, of spiritual growth, enlightenment, and of the realization of the final Purushartha, namely moksha. The word Trayambaka means three-eyed goddess. The three eyes of the goddess are sun, the moon and the fire. Evidently, this refers to Devi in her cosmic aspect as Virat Swarupini. The whole universe is manifestation of the Adi Shakti, the primal power. The ignorant see before them only a material universe, but the enlightened souls see the world as the manifestation of God's power, as Brahma Chaitanya itself. The cosmic form of Supreme Shakti can be perceived only through the Divya Drishti. It is only when Bhagavan Sri Krishna granted to Arjuna the divine vision, Divya Drishti, that Arjuna could behold the indescribable splendor of the Lord's Vishwaswarupa, cosmic form. The universe is instinct with the divine presence and glory. Devi is not only the Virat Swarupini, she is also the supreme overlord of countless universes, Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaki. She is therefore designated as Parameshwari. The power that guides, controls, rules and sustains is the infinite Shakti. Trayambaka signifies this aspect of the overlordship of the Supreme. The Supreme power is the compassionate power. She is all love, hence she is looked upon as the universal mother. Trayambaka also signifies the motherhood of God. Supreme in the aspect of mother is the mother of the Trinity of gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, the mother of three Shaktis, Saraswati, Lakshmi and Kali, and the mother of three worlds, Bhurbhuva Swaha. Three definitions mentioned above of Trayambaka refer to the Saguna aspect of the Supreme. Trayambaka also signifies the Nirguna aspect. It points to the one who abides as the changeless consciousness in all the three worlds, in all the three states, and in all the three periods of time. This abiding consciousness is the ground of all manifestations and is also beyond all manifestations. It is a permanent reality beyond Triputi, seer, seeing and seen. It is the all-seeing witness. It is the formless, nameless, attributeless, absolute. Thus, all aspects of such as Devi as the Vishwaswarupini, cosmic being, as Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaki, supreme overlord of the countless universes, as the universal mother of all jivas, and the as the pure consciousness are indicated in the single term Trayambaka. In short, Devi Sri Trayambaka is none other than our own Divine Mother, Sri Tara Devi herself. Innumerable times, Divine Mother has exclaimed, "Me and Tara are one," and of this no one need cherish any doubt at any time. One small incident I like to share with you. At the time of naming ceremony of Sri Tara Devi, all the family members were toying with an idea of me naming the baby with some other name. When Sri Gopal Krishna Shanai, father of Divine Mother, came to know about this proposed name, he immediately insisted that baby should be named as Tara. This again is her Parasankalpa. That was he, father of Divine Mother, who had prayed to Devi that one able and suitable person should be always there with Divine Mother to help her and take care of her. Divine Mother says, when God comes as an avatar, he is coming fully prepared, making all necessary arrangements and assigning duties and responsibilities to different souls and to discharge duties as and when needed. Jokingly she says, like a street magic performer, Dombaratawala, when going from town to town, has to take with him all his paraphernalia, like the girl walking on the tightrope with an umbrella in hand, a monkey, a snake, a parrot, etc., etc. Similarly, all the leelas of the Lord are predetermined. No, nothing is accidental or a coincidence. Also, no changes in the Sankalpa are made after the manifestation. It is really very amazing how even a tiny matter is taken care of and she gets it done absolute perfection, exactly in accordance with her Sankalpa. It is very difficult to believe that it is a coincidence or happened accidentally. Let me recall an incident. Brahmasri Gundaraya Bhatta was the then chief priest and Purohit who arranged and organized arrangements of interment of the sacred Divya Mangala Sharira of Divine Mother in the cellar 8 feet below the Vigraha of Devi Sri Ramambika. Inside the cellar was only a few governing body members were present to help the procedures as per directions and guidance of Sri Bhattji. I happened to be standing inside the cellar behind Divine Mother, doing things as per Bhattji's instructions. Those standing around Mother felt and even expressed that they feel like we are only robots acting upon commandments of a remote controller. All our emotions, feelings and sentiments seem to have been hushed up. At one point, when most of the ingredients, Shubha Suvastugalu, auspicious and holy items intended to be placed inside the cellar are completed, I noticed that crown of Mother remains to be covered. I asked Bhattji to give me some camphor karpura. Surprisingly, karpura is finished. I humbly pleaded that no other item is suitable to be placed over the crown portion of Mother and hard substances could hurt her. Bhattji and others agreed with me, and brother Narendra Kumar Jolly standing near me offered to give his gold chain from his neck. Gold of course is precious, but it will be hard on that spot and could hurt and cause pain to Mother. I politely declined and he readily agreed. When Sri Taradevi got to know the situation, she sent a bottle full of camphor tablets. That exactly what was most suitable, and I felt very much relieved. Later, when I happened to meet Sri Taradevi, she told me she is astonished to note that that camphor was actually bought to be used as an ingredient in making some special medicinal hair oil for mother. The camphor, she exclaimed, reached its true destination, hair of mother. This is really amazing how mother is arranging these tiny matters and her sankalpa fulfilled. I strongly believe that it is not my intelligence that made this happen, but I am very happy that she used me as her instrument. The Purohit, after concluding his task, spoke a few very touching words. Quoting a command of the Shastras, he said, Sarvasanga vivartasya jnana yoga ratasya cha natasya dahanam karyam naiva pindodaka kriyaha. With folded hands, bent head and overflowing copious tears, he prayed, O Devi, Amma, we are ignorant human beings. We do what we have understood of the Shastras and the knowledge handed down to us from our elders. You are divine, and it is possible that we have done certain things we should not have done, and we did not do what we should have done. You are our mother, and we are thy ignorant children. Kindly pardon us and bless the whole humanity. Eyes of the assembled devotees also were all moist. Coming back to mantra, the mantra establishes the identity of Trayambaka and Ramambika. Ramambika signifies Devi in her incarnated splendor, the Parashakti, who assumed the sweet name Rama as delectable and auspicious divine form, Divya Mangala Swarupa, and the attributes of the all-merciful motherhood of God, and he appeared as the Satchidananda Guru of the world, the deity of thousands of devotees who had privilege of coming in contact with her when she was in her embodied Saguna splendor. She now shines radiant in her Archa splendor in the consecrated shrines, drawing the over-expanding community of worshippers to her divine presence. The musical couplet of this mantra, addressed to Devi in her two names, Ramambika and Trayambaka, bring to the sadhaka's mind the oneness of the Saguna and the Nirguna, the oneness of the Atman and Paramatman, and the identity of Guru Tattva and Brahma Tattva, resolving thereby all sentimental conflicts and ideological clashes and emotional deviations that are likely to arise in spiritually immature minds, enabling the sadhaka to offer his undivided mind and loyalty and allegiance to his Guru and the deity. Thus, having set the supreme goal before the intellectual vision of this Upasaka, the mantra indicates the path and the perspective that spontaneously comes to the Upasaka is that of a child towards his mother. This is the most sublime bhava recommended even by the divine incarnations like Sri Ramakrishna and Adi Shankaracharya. In the child-mother relationship, there is deeper intimacy which helps cultivation of pure love towards God. When such love deepens, all worldly attachments fall off, and the Upasaka is able to rise spiritual summit even without having to undergo the rigors of penance associated with the self-discipline. A path of velvety smoothness is laid before the Upasaka from the very beginning of his spiritual career itself. The path indicated in this mantra is the path of Prapatti, total self-surrender to the Supreme Shakti, whom the devotee looks upon as his own loving and gracious mother. In fact, the mantra as a whole is purely a Sharanagata mantra. The child has to establish himself in the awareness that other than Divine Mother, his deity and the Guru, there is none else in the world or in the other. who can be called as his own. This bhava of Ananya Sharanagati is the whole tone and the truth of this mantra. One has to take refuge at the lotus feet of Devi and implore her redemptive grace. He has to be conscious of his own limitations, of his bondage, his helplessness, to get redemption from his chains of ego, cravings and vasanas through his personal efforts alone. He has to realize the paramount importance of divine grace. He has to know that all forms of sadhana are meant for the perfection of the self-surrender and for invocation of the redemptive grace of the Almighty Devi. When the surrender becomes perfect, Devi's grace manifests itself in the consciousness of the devotee. Divine Mother becomes the charioteer of his life and mind, leads him along the path of righteousness, dharma. She bestows upon him the boon of fearlessness, abhaya. So long as separative ego persists, so long as consciousness is vitiated by dualistic idea of Dvaita Bhava, there is room for fear. Destroying this deviation, Dvaita Bhava and Ahankara, Devi elevates the non-dual consciousness. Thereafter, he ceases to have a separative existence. His life becomes one with the universal life. His consciousness is fused into the infinite God consciousness. His body becomes a tool in the hands of the Divine Mother. Being the bestower of fearlessness, Devi is called Abhayadayini. Abhaya, fearlessness, and Advaita, non-dual state, and moksha, deliverance from the samsara, all mean one and the same state of union with the Supreme. The mantra is therefore moksha mantra or the Taraka mantra. May this mantra become the subject, seat anchor of all jivas suffering untold miseries in the samsara, and may it lead everyone to the shore of eternal beatitude, is my heartfelt prayer at the hallowed lotus feet of our most beloved Divine Mother, Devi Sri Ramambika. Jai Mata.